Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Em and my books are everywhere. Today I'm going to be doing the Reluctant TBR tag. I was tagged by Tiffany at Beautiful Minutia, and thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I am just finishing up my vacation. I'm on my way home now. I'm here in Southern California. This is Pyramid Lake behind me. I'm not sure that you can see the lake. But those are the hills there. Yeah, so I still have probably a good 6 hours to make it home. So I thought I would go ahead and do this tag today. And again, just like I did in my last video, when I stop for a driving break or to gas up or whatever, then I'll do a few of the questions. Okay, question number 1. What is a book you want to read but it was a soft DNF? So for this, I chose The Wager by David Grann, and this is a book that I checked out from the library for book club, my in-person book club, but then it turns out that I had the wrong book for this month, and it was time to turn it into the library, so I did turn it in. I do want to read it, but I'm not going to check it out again until we get to the actual month. I'm not sure if it's October or November, but whichever month it will be, I will check it out again and read it. Question number 2. What is a book that you want to read but you read another book by that author and didn't enjoy it? So for this, I'm going to say This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have read The Great Gatsby at least 3 times and have never really cared for it. I've either read it for school, and I think the last time I read it was because I thought, maybe I wasn't mature enough to appreciate it when I had read it before. So I tried it again, still didn't like it. Question number 3 is, what is the book you want to read, but it's brand new and you don't know when you'll get around to it? So for this, I actually picked Revenge of the Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, and it's not quite out yet, but even when it does come out, I think it'll be a while before I read it. I did enjoy The Tipping Point by him and another book that he wrote. I think that his theories are very fascinating, and I may or may not agree with them, but I still enjoy reading it, but it's not high on my list. Question number 4 is, what is a book that you want to read but the cover is painfully ugly? For this, I chose The House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. Now, I had forgotten that this book was on my TBR. It's pretty much on my Goodreads want to read, and I really couldn't think of a book that had a painfully ugly cover, and I'm not saying that this book has a painfully ugly cover, but it was like the plainest, not really interesting cover that I could find of the books that I had marked as want to read on Goodreads. And so yeah, I'm going with that book. And then question number 5 is, what is a book you want to read, but it's a classic book that might be good for you, but you're not that interested? So for this, I'm going to agree with Tiffany and say The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. And that is a book that I think that I should read, but I haven't read any George Eliot. And I think that if I'm going to start, I'll start with Middlemarch. I'm not even sure that I want to start with that. I just don't think that she's a writer that I'm that interested in, but I think that because of her place in literature, I should read her books. And so Mill on the Floss is lower on the list than Middlemarch. And then question number 6 will be the last one for right now. It's what is a book that you want to read, but it's humongous and intimidating? So the one that I chose for this is Alexander Hamilton by Chernow, and it's 818 pages. And I do read books that are longer than that. So it's not really the length that's intimidating. It's more the combination of the length, the appearance of the book, the size of it, and then also that it's a history. I do like reading history books. I enjoy it. There's several nonfiction books that I enjoy, but just the combination of all of that has it lower on my TBR. Okay, friends, I'm going to get back on the road, and there's going to be a rest stop in a while, and I will be stopping there and be doing some more questions. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, friends, I am here at a rest stop ready for the next set of questions. So number 7, what is a book you want to read, but you feel you need to read it because it's hyped? So for this, I'm gonna say Powerless by Lauren Roberts. So I don't think that this is typically the type of book that I would really be compelled to read, but I just have heard so much about it and everybody has been loving it. I really liked how Bethany, and I'll put her channel name right here, how she did the tandem read, and her vlog of that experience I thought was really neat. So I feel like I want to have that experience too. But this book, like I said, it's not the type of book I think that I typically pick up. So I do want to read it, but it is lower on my list for that reason. And then number 8, what is the book you want to read, but you need to be in a specific mood to enjoy? For that, I chose The Pioneers by David McCullough. I have read other David McCullough books and have really enjoyed them. I like his style of writing, and it is almost like reading a novel, but I do need to be in a specific mood to read that, unless of course it gets chosen for like book club or something, then I'll just read it in that month. Otherwise, it is on my list. I own a very lovely hardback copy of it, and I will get to it sometime. Number 9, what is a book you want to read but you're on the fence about continuing the series? So for this, I put on here, I didn't write down the name of the series. I'll put it right here. The series that starts with Twisted Threads by Leah Waite. Now, you may have seen in another video, and I'll link it below, where I talked about that book and how I wasn't going to continue on in the series. But other people have really enjoyed at least that book, and I did think that the writing was really good. I really liked the characters. I really liked the setting. So now I really would love it if anyone has read farther in the series. Can you please let me know if there's any content similar to in the first book? I prefer not to read books that have any type of abuse or domestic violence. So if the rest of the series doesn't have those elements, I really would appreciate a heads up, because I think I probably would continue in the series as long as I knew that I wasn't going to keep coming up against that stuff as I read on in the books. So if you know, please let me know. Thank you. Prompt number 10 is, what is the book you want to read, but it's been on your TBR for a very long time? For this, I'm choosing The Beekeeper's Apprentice by Laurie R. King. And this is a book, when I first found out about it, I really wanted to read it. I just didn't have it. And the opportunity actually did come up at work. We had a cabinet that had books in the lunchroom, and you can just, borrow a book and then put it back or swap it out for another book or whatever. And The Beekeeper's Apprentice was in that cabinet. So I did pick it up, and I actually probably read the first chapter, but then my lunch was over and I didn't go back to it. Always planning to, but I probably was in the middle of other books and had just picked that one up for lunch, and then went back to my other books when I got back to them. So I do want to read it. I've heard some things about the series. A lot of people enjoy it. Some people have not liked it, but what they didn't like, I don't think would bother me. So I do want to get back to it, but again, it's been such a long time since I started it. It's like I didn't start it, and I could get back to that at any point, but it's not high on my list right now. And next is, what is a book you want to read, but it's a genre outside of your comfort zone? For this, I'm choosing The Couple at the Table by Sophie Hannah, and it's a psychological thriller. That's what she writes. I have read some of her other books and have enjoyed them, but that is a genre that I usually stay away from, because more often than not, there's situations in that type of book that I'm not comfortable with. As a matter of fact, one of the books that I read of hers had, it really dealt with like sexual deviancy and some other things like that. It was hard. I skipped a lot of that book, so I don't think that this book has that kind of stuff in it. And the way she has talked about it in interviews, it's very interesting to me. But again, I'm hesitant just because it is a genre that I generally don't enjoy. And number 12 is a book that you want to read, but despite owning it, you'll likely never read it. So for this, I actually chose The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I love Oscar Wilde's writing. The Importance of Being Earnest is one of my favorite plays ever. But I did start to watch an adaptation of The Picture of Dorian Gray, the one that has Angela Lansbury in it. And I wasn't liking it. I just thought Dorian was a horrible person, and I didn't want to watch the movie, so I DNF'd it, if you can DNF a movie. And then I already had the book, but because I didn't like the adaptation so much, I didn't even start the book. And I'm not inclined to start it, so it can sit on my bookshelf probably for the rest of my life, maybe. Maybe at some point I might try it, but for now it's on there, on my shelves, and it will stay there. All right, I think that's it for this stop, guys. I have one more stop, I think, to finish up the questions, and so I will see you later. I'm back, and I picked up a hitchhiker along the way. Just kidding, I wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker. We stopped for breakfast at this really cool place, and I'm going to put a picture here of a mural that was at the restaurant, and breakfast was delicious. And back on the road, we're at a rest stop here, and I have 3 more answers left in the tag. So number 13, a book you want to read, but it's only out of obligation to a book club or friend's recommendation. So for this, I'm choosing The Phoenix Crown by Kate Quinn and Janie Chang. And this was for the 52 Book Club's quarterly read-along. And I did have 2 other people that were going to read this with me. One of them had already read it, and the other one had put a hold on it from the library, and it was a 12-week hold. And it either still hasn't come in, or she hasn't let me know that it's come in. And I wasn't super excited to read it anyway. If either one of them do get a hold of me and say that they're ready to start the read along, then I will go ahead and read it. Otherwise, it'll just hang out in my bookshelf. And then number 14 is a book that you want to read, but negative reviews have made you less excited. So for this, I'm going to pick The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I haven't read anything by him, but I really want to read The 7.5 Deaths of, is it Evelyn Hardcastle? Eleanor Hardcastle? I want to read that one because it sounds really good and like a cozy murder mystery up my alley, and I love the twist on that. This one I was excited about reading also, but then I have heard some reviews about it that it's just meh, that it's not that great. Although I have heard some reviews that people like it, so I still want to read it. I'm just less excited about reading it. And then the last one is a book that you want to read, but it hasn't come out yet. For sure, that is We Solve Murders by Richard Osman. Now, I don't have to wait too long to get to that one because it comes out on the 17th and I pre-ordered it. So it should be in my mailbox and in my hot little hands when I get off work on that day. And it is one that is very high priority on my list. I can't get to it yet because I don't have it yet. And then the last thing is to tag 5 people. I'm not sure who to tag yet. If you want to do this tag, consider yourself tagged. If I come up with anybody, then I'll put that in my wrap up of this video, and I'll do the wrap up when I get home tonight. I'm back home and just very tired, so I didn't film a wrap up. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.